All right. We just completed practice number 5 for Houston. We got 3 good days in last week, and then Sunday and today. So off to a good start there. Obviously, disappointing news that we got early last week about Gary's shoulder. They did an X-ray right after the game and had good news there that he didn't have a broken collarbone or anything. But whenever they did the MRI, it did show some things that they feel like they need to go clean up in surgery. So he'll be out for the remainder of the season, and really just feel for him. He really was settling in and playing really good ball the last 2 games. And so disappointed for him, number one, and then obviously, for our team. But Gary's a tough guy, mentally and physically tough guy, and even though this is a setback for him, I've got full confidence that he'll come back and be stronger next year. For our team, it's just another injury to add to the list. A long list. Was hoping that maybe through the first 6 games we would kind of get that behind us, but it looks like it's continuing to add there. But at the end of the day, we can't feel sorry for ourselves. We can't use these as excuses or whatever. That's not going to get anything accomplished. The only path is to have the next man up mindset and go back to work. And going back watching the tape, I thought there were some things that Trey Marsh did a good job of. He had 2 nice touchdown passes, and then he had some plays obviously that he'll need to improve and he'll work on and clean up the turnover there. But Trey's been here for 3 years, and he's gotten a lot of work in practice as a backup and had a few experiences in games. But I'm excited to be able to see him go out and play this week versus Houston. And then behind Trey, we really have 3 guys that'll be kind of working and getting ready. The first will be Byram Brown. Byram's a true freshman that we're very high on, and we believe he has a big future. Very smart young man. I think he had over a 4.0 in high school, and I believe he's making straight A's here. He's mature for his age, for being a young guy. He's got really good maturity to him. Everything's very important to him. He picks up things very quickly, and I think you don't ever like to be in this situation, losing your starter. But maybe one silver lining for us is it happened going into a bye week where we have 2 weeks to really get Trey and Byram ready. Behind Byram is Gunnar Smith, another freshman that we signed. And Gunnar's really improved. He's been working with the scout team really all fall and doing a good job for them down there. And obviously with this, we've moved him up to the varsity. And then also one other quarterback I wanted to mention, Ryan Boldick is a walk-on quarterback for us that came in from Cardinal Mooney, and another very smart player and has done a really good job for us. He knows what we're doing. And so those will really be the 3 guys there behind Trey that will be giving reps and getting ready for this week and for the remainder of the season. Houston, again, a very talented team, very explosive on offense. Their quarterback, like we've talked about, was kind of the year of the quarterback, the year of the injuries and the year of the quarterback. But Clayton Toon is an outstanding player and just a winner, and does a lot of great things for their offense. And then defensively, reminds me of Cincinnati. When you watch the video, they have to be one of the top teams in the country in sacks, just create a lot of havoc. They've got 9 and 10 defensive linemen that all are disruptive and all really, really good players. And that's where it starts for them up front. So we're going to have to be really smart with what we, game plan wise and what we ask our guys to do. Because a lot of regular drop back, everybody's had trouble blocking those guys this year. So it'll be another big challenge and new opportunity for us. And like I told our team, we've got 5 games left, and the first 7 games haven't gone the way that maybe we envisioned and the way that we wanted, and there's a lot of reasons for that. We have a hand in some of that too. We could have coached better and we could have played better. And then obviously, you got to take into consideration some of the other stuff that's happened as well. But at the end of the day, those first 7 games are part of our story for this season, but it doesn't have to be the story of our season. if we go and finish the right way. And how we finish these last 5 games starting this week against a good Houston team will really, in my opinion, kind of be the story of the season. And so we have opportunity. And, as far as what I watch from the guys and from our staff, nobody's happy. Obviously, everybody's frustrated, but everybody shows up, everybody goes to work, and has had the right attitude. And that's really the biggest thing that I'm looking for is making sure that we've got guys that are continuing to push and striving to get better. And as long as we do that, I believe that we have an opportunity for success ahead of us. So that's really what we're focused on. With that, I'll open up for any questions.
Jeff, you mentioned going into the off week, evaluating your team and what you're asking your guys to do.
Yep.
What did you come up with just that as you looked at it and
Yeah.
what might change or shift moving forward?
Can I tell you at the end of the season? I'm not trying to be smart. I'm just, I think it's always important during your bye week, regardless of success or lack of success. You always go and do a self-scout where you take a kind of defensive look at your offense, an offensive look at your defense, and then, share some of those things. And you're looking at tendencies. You're looking at, what did we think we would do well? How did we do in that? And what gave us problems? And how do we correct that? And so I guess what I would confirm is, yes, we took a lot of time to do that, and we did find some things, but I don't think it's in our advantage to kind of share overall what that is. I think from a 10,000-foot view, at the end of the day, what we've told our guys is the game is about execution. It's not about plays, right? We can draw up plays and talk about how this could work and how this happens and all that. At the end of the day, it's how well you execute. So as a coach, are we coaching and teaching the things that our guys can execute well in practice and can carry over to the game? And then for the players is, am I executing and doing what I need to do with my job? And then personnel-wise, obviously with the change at quarterback, there'll be, some subtle changes. I'm not sure that big picture-wise people would see major changes, but there'll be some subtle changes because, each of those guys, Gary is different than Trey, and Trey's different, than Byram and some of those other guys. So, you have to kind of balance that in as well with what you have. And then, defensively, again, it's kind of a time to go back and look at what you've done well and what you need to improve on. And a lot of it's not real exciting stuff to talk about. It's the basics. It's tackling, right? It's playing with lower pads up front. It's having better leverage and understanding, angles and all of these kind of things. And so that's another thing that we spent a lot of time on, a little extra time for individual fundamental work. Did probably 25 minutes a day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on fundamentals. We're typically in the season, because of the game planning and all that, you're more about 10 minutes in true indie work. So part of it's kind of going back, focusing on that. And then, for us, there'll be some things. I'm not sure that it'd be something that somebody on the outside would be able to notice, but there's definitely things within our scheme that we can do better and put our guys in a better situation. And that's kind of part of our job as a coach. You never kind of just start out and then you just go on autopilot and play the whole season out. Every week you've got to, adjust to the good and the bad that comes.
For Travis, this is going to be his longest period of being able to prep, with the bye week.
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati start, I'm not sure how much he got. East
Right.
Carolina was a short week, got thrown to Temple last year.
Yep.
And thrown into Tulane this year. Just how beneficial is it going to be for him to have that,
Yeah.
Not just that full week, but an extra week on top of that going into the Houston?
Yeah, I think it's helpful. Again, like I said earlier, it's never an ideal situation when you lose your starter, but if it was going to happen before a bye week, to give you 2 weeks for both, the quarterbacks, Trey and even Byram, because you only rep 2 guys every day as far as in your team periods and all that. So, for the whole fall, it's been, Gary and Trey, and Byram's been watching, and then Byram would throw an Indy to the wideouts and all that. But as far as real plays out there, Byram hasn't gotten many. Trey has, but it's all been with the 2s. So now for Trey to get all the work with the 1s, and for Byram now to start getting live reps with the the second team and all that for 2 weeks before you go play. That's an advantage for them, and then it's an advantage for us as coaches, knowing that the guys that are going to be playing, and maybe putting together a plan for those guys to be successful in using their strengths.
Jeff, do you think the idea that this team thinks it's a snake bit, or that it's kind of waiting for what's going to happen next, or
Yeah.
do you think they've been able to get that out of their mind?
Yeah. I don't know. I really hadn't thought about that. I would just say, whenever I see a new injury, I feel bad for the young man, but it just, okay, add it to the list. It just kind of, it is what it is, and you just kind of get in the mode that, at the end of the day, you have to go back and just say, all you can do as a coach and a player is control what you can control, right? And obviously there's emotions and disappointment. We all have that, but to give ourselves the best chance to have success, you got to move past that as quick as you can and say, I could sit up there in my office and look at where we were at the beginning of the season and our depth chart and feel really good and where we are and, kind of have the woe is me. But that's going to be 15 minutes that I'm not game planning for Houston, which is really what's going to give us a chance to be able to go out and have success. So I think while you're in the middle of it, you just have to process it and move on to the next. But does it feel like that? Absolutely, it does. The frustrating part about it is it's all been different injuries and different situations. Like I've said before, if we had, 6 of one injury and 8 of another injury, you would really kind of look at what you're doing. But it's been a lot of different things that have happened. And then you go back and watch the plays. Gary was going to try to get a first down and doing what he does. He's an aggressive runner, and, he just unfortunately got hit kind of at the wrong angle right there. But does it feel like that? Yes. Are our players walking around with their heads down because of that? No. They kind of understand what we've said. We got to control what we can control. Next man up. This is another opportunity for the next guy to go in. And like I've told the guys, that's why we have 85 guys on scholarship. You only play 11 guys every play, but you have 85 guys on scholarship. Well, the reason is for injuries and things like this that happen. And, really just trying to focus on, what we can control. And we do control. I'm careful in what we're doing. I think the other thing probably that's tough is how you practice, right? When you have so many injuries, you as a coach, you can't just say, well, we're just going to go live for 2 hours and just whoever's left standing, let's go play. You got to have some common sense too. But at the same time, you got to get some good on good work. So you're just really kind of picking and choosing those reps where sometimes if you have more of your full roster, you can be a little bit more aggressive, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays in your practice. But so as far as that part, I'm trying to manage that as best as I can. But as far as, the other piece, we're moving forward.
Jeff, what kind of sticks with you about the recruiting process with Trey Marsh? I think he committed just after your first full recruiting week.
Yeah, he was committed. I want to say, could be wrong. I want to say he was committed to Utah early on. And then, whenever I got the job and I was here for maybe 10 days, and then I went back to Clemson. And when I wasn't game planning or at practice, I was on the phone and recruiting, and obviously quarterback's a big thing. I remember that, he won a lot of games there at his school and came from a really good program. I knew he had good arm strength. I knew he's a big-bodied guy. Sometimes, you're looking for some guys that, bigger guys, big stature in the pocket and all that kind of stuff. And then I met him, and I thought he had a good, personality and all that to him. And it just kind of clicked. And so I think that part's really good. The other thing I'd say about Trey, too, is, this world we're in, man, it just operates so fast, right? This environment in college football and the portal and all these things. And so, last year in December, Trey, knowing that we had a starter coming back who Trey had competed with, Trey decided to get in the portal to kind of see, what he could do. And, after being in there for a couple weeks, he called me back and started talking through a few things. And really, we had 2 freshmen coming in, but we didn't have anybody other than our returning starter at that point coming back. And so I'm glad that I agreed to let him come back, right? Because you didn't really know all the other things that transpire. That's one thing that, people could miss, that if he would have done kind of the normal thing and just kind of moved on, then, we could have been in a situation right now where we have one fewer quarterback with experience that has played and been in that meeting room for 3 years. So I do appreciate that part. And I'm excited. I know, he's had some good plays and some bad plays when he's been in there, but that's all kind of part of your journey as a young player. And it is difficult going into a game and not knowing, if you're going to play or not. You got to kind of prepare for that. But now having 2 weeks to kind of get ready and know that this is going to be his game, I'm excited to see him go lead our offense.
Where have you seen the most growth out of him?
I'll say just overall maturity. I think he was, just kind of young and trying to figure it out when he first got here. Sometimes as a young player, you don't know what you don't know, right? If you know what you don't know and you go learn it, but sometimes you think you know a little bit more, and then it kind of, gets a little fuzzy for you. And he's put in some time in the meeting room with Coach Trickett and learning the offense. And I've just seen this year, and my challenge to him whenever he came back was, I don't want you coming back just to come hang out, because at that time, he knew he was probably going to be the backup again. I don't want you just to come by time. If you're coming back, I want you to be serious about it and come back and go to work. And I feel like he has. And he's done that, and I've just seen growth in his overall maturity and knowledge of what we're doing and confidence in what we're doing. And now, hopefully that'll transpire over to the game field.
Yeah, from what you had to say about Byram, he seems like a real mature young man. And
Yeah.
you could talk about, you said he hasn't had
Yeah.
many meaningful reps out there on the practice
Yeah.
field, but he has now.
Yeah.
So if you see that maturity coming through
Yeah.
in his game
By-
as well.
Byram has, sometimes there's a lot of good things with young guys too, just kind of a youthful energy. And Byram brings that. Byram's like your all-American young man. I won't call him a kid, even though he just turned 18, I think. He's just kind of like big, bright smile. I think when we recruited him, he had big braces, just kind of came in, just a big smile. Really just kind of a very young-looking young man, but just highly intelligent. Just a really great energy about him. He carries that with him, and the players really like him and kind of feed off of his energy. And it's been fun. Like I said, it's the hardest thing to do is not be the backup quarterback. The hardest thing is to be the third quarterback, because you can't go to scout team and get reps because you have to be watching everything with the varsity, but you can't get reps with the varsity, so you're having to stand and watch. And so that's where it really matters. If you're mature, if you're focused on getting mental reps and getting better with every rep that goes on, or if you're young and don't know, you're just kind of wandering around and watching. And Byram is very intentional. And I mean, honestly, this being the first time getting reps as the second team guy, with the team. And again, in fall camp, he was able to go out there in some scrimmages whenever we'd go with our threes. But really from fall camp until now, you really just you only have time, very similar to the NFL, to rep 2 guys. And so watching him go out, I mean, you can tell watching him practice this week that he's kept up with the installs and he knows our offense. There's not a lot of mistakes or anything like that from motions and getting guys lined up, making the calls and all that kind of stuff. So we're excited about Byram. I think, there could be an opportunity for Byram to play at some point. I think one thing that I'm looking at as well is Byram hadn't played in any games, and he could play in up to 4 games depending on, how the season goes and how Trey does and what the game situations are. He could play in up to 4 games without using a redshirt year. And, we think Byram has a really big future here. So it would definitely be my goal, if at all possible, not to use one of his years for 1 extra game. And so all that usually works itself out. Usually you don't find yourself in that situation. But Byram, I definitely see Byram at some point, whether it's this Saturday or one of the next 4 games. I see him getting an opportunity to go in and play, because he also adds a a different element than Trey in some other regards as well.
Is it the right way to describe Trey Marsh as a guy that just has all the physical skills in the world, looks tremendous on the practice field, but him taking it to the next level is a matter of him knowing how to use those skills and where to
Yeah.
go with the ball?
Yeah, I think, y'all probably felt, and maybe just hearing me talk and other coaches talk, Trey has a very strong arm, probably the strongest arm since I've been here of any of the quarterbacks that we've had. I mean, he's got a very big arm. And in practice, he's done a really good job. I think just, he hasn't had a ton of opportunity. If you go back and kind of chart his opportunities, it's been kind of like what happened against Tulane, right? The guy goes down in the middle of the game, you go out there, and then he got some opportunities 2 years ago as a true freshman and just kind of got thrown in the fire. So, this will be, his biggest stretch and opportunity he's had since he's been here. And usually it does translate from the practice field to the game field. But, I think our guys obviously our guys understand losing Gary's a big deal, and don't minimize that. But we're glad that we have someone with the experience and knowledge that's been around and arm strength and all that stuff of Trey to be able to go in and help us here this week.
Coaches are always telling players to be ready to play.
Yeah.
Do you think all these injuries have improved the focus of some of these guys?
Yeah.
Because they're saying,
Yeah.
I really might be.
I think focus and overall energy among those guys. I don't want to say morale because nobody's happy with the record that we have. But I would say overall energy, if y'all were able to come out and watch practice, just seeing how many guys are running around full speed and communicating and playing, I think it's because a lot more of your roster is involved because of the injuries. I've been on teams before where, you don't have a lot of injuries, and those first guys, especially in the last school, those first guys are playing the majority of the game. It's hard for those next 30 guys below to get excited about coming out to practice and doing stuff when you're probably not going to get a chance to play. So I definitely think that, it's added to those guys because they know that they got to be ready, and they've seen other guys come up and have a chance. And in the long run, it's isn't fun going through right now. But again, the silver lining in it is by the end of the year, we're going to have a lot more guys that have started in games and played meaningful snaps in games for our overall roster. And we only have maybe 10 or 11 seniors total. So I think for the long run, this is a good experience for them, but it's not a lot of fun going through it at the time.
Houston picked to win the league, but maybe underachieving just a little bit record-wise so far. I know they've had some tough games with Kansas being as good as they've been, Texas Tech. Still a lot to play for that team. Could be a 9-3 team if they win out. Just how much do you feel that they're going to come out with a point of emphasis to bounce back?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of teams in our league and all over the country right now, and in the NFL right now, that we're picked to have whatever kind of seasons, and maybe to this point it hasn't happened that way. And you're going to see which ones are going to be able to really finish strong, and which ones can't kind of get out of that rut, right? And all I can do is go back and watch. I mean, you can look at a record, and very similar to our season, somebody from the outside could look at a record, and you could make a judgment on the season or how the team's played. But if you follow it and watch every game and watch all the plays and keep up with it, it may not make you feel better, but you can see some positives in there. When I turn on the video for Houston, I see that team each and every week. I see that team that was picked to win our league. I mean, and again, you go back to some of those games, it's a couple points and a couple plays here and there, and they've had a lot of those games, maybe 3 overtime games already, and they've won their share, and they've lost a couple that were right there at the end too. So overall, very talented. Again, it starts with their quarterback, and the guy's played a bunch of ball and really good player. He knows their system inside and out, and they're explosive. They've got incredible skill guys. But defensively, the biggest thing that jumps out is, they're very disruptive up front. I think even some of the really good teams that have played them this year have struggled blocking them up front, and you got to be really, really careful with what you're asking your offense to do as far as holding up and how long and protection. And, so I think that's kind of they've created a lot of plays on defense with their front four.
Speaking of your front four, Jason Vaughn
Yeah.
has been really productive so
Yeah.
far. 5 sacks. He's on pace to do something a USF defensive lineman hasn't done in 5-6 years. Third highest graded player on PFF. Just what have you seen out of him?
Yeah, he's a guy that kind of a little slower getting going, and maybe we didn't play him as much as we probably should have a little bit early, and he got some opportunity, and man, he made the most of it. And the thing I appreciate about him is, he's worked every day. He shows up, he puts in the work, and sometimes if you go out and you're not the starter that week or whatever, it's easy to kind of get disappointed and just kind of drift off. And he's one of those guys that has been preparing for his opportunity. And then when his opportunity came, he's made the most of it. And then as a coach, when you see that, then you reward that, right? And so I'm really pleased with how he's played. And I think that's, one of the things as we're looking for improvement areas that we've made some improvement this year. I definitely think our sacks and TFLs have greatly increased from where they were a year ago. And that group has worked extremely hard. Obviously, we're trying to do some things up front to give them some chances, but they got to be the ones to go out and make those plays. And Jason's been a big part of that, and I'm expecting him to have a great finish to the season these last 5 games.
Chuck, the way the schedule broke, it's almost like right in the middle of your games with your open date. I know you can't make the first 7 games disappear, but is this kind of almost like a turn the page, like a second opening game kind of a thing here you've got?
Yeah, I think anytime that you haven't turned the corner yet, you can find some separation. You want to use that as kind of a turn the page kind of moment. And we've talked about that. I talked about it after 6 games, kind of use the middle of the season. We've played 6, we got 6 to go. But really the open week, you have a chance really to kind of, you can gain a little perspective. You can gain a little bit of knowledge of what's going on and what you need to do. And really everybody kind of take a deep dive inside on how we all need to improve individually, coaches and players. And then how do we bring that back collectively to get to where we want to go. And also keep perspective on, the reality of what's happened, where we are, while we're here, and what we're going to have to do to get there. And kind of block out maybe the noise and all that happens whenever you're having a difficult year, and really just kind of see, hey, we have an opportunity, and the only people that can change it are the people in our team room and in our locker room. And the only way we're going to be able to do it is we all take pride in improving. A couple of these plays here and there is really the difference of where we need to go. And then all of a sudden you get that win, and there's energy and momentum and excitement that come from that too. And there's no doubt our guys know we got 5 games to go. We've only got maybe 32 days left in the season. That's all we're guaranteed. And so we're not going to count the days. We need to make each day count, right? And so that's kind of the mentality that our guys have right now.
The bye week, Jeff, allow a couple guys to heal up till
Yeah. Yeah, I do believe so. We have more guys, of the guys that were banged up, more of them are back practicing. It was able to kind of do 2 things. Number one, some of the guys that were playing, which we had a lot of guys that were playing not quite 100%. It gave us a chance to kind of pick and choose how much they did during that bye week, so we could take advantage of that and get them to being closer to 100%. And then the guys that haven't been able to get in, now they were able to practice and do some things. So we have more guys practicing, and still don't know. We still have a few more days to go, but I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get a few of those guys back this week. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll start with junior defensive end Jason Vaughn. 3 sacks versus Tulane is the most by a USF player in a game since 2017, and his 5 sacks on the season has been in the top 3 in the American Conference. Big question for Jason.
What do you think, Jason, the key has been to your improved play and your bigger numbers?
I feel like it could be a couple things. First, I can start by saying the defense that Coach Shoop is running is more catered to the personnel that I feel we had on the team. And last year and the year before that, I wasn't able to kind of utilize my skills to the best of my ability. But Coach Shoop's defense puts me in really good position to make plays and do what I've been doing. And I think that another reason would be just continue to work. I've had half a sack in 3 years, and, you know, it was a point there was kind of, you know, difficult to kind of get into that mindset that you got to keep going and, you know, it's going to happen for you and all that. But then you turn around and you keep working, and then you get, you know, 5 and 3, and, you know, you get your opportunity and you just make the most of it, and that's what I, you know, went out there to do.
So were you at the point where it was a little bit discouraging and you were wondering?
I wouldn't say it was discouraging. I would say it was just I had to kind of talk to myself more and kind of just keep that motivation and that mindset that, you know, if you keep working, it's gonna happen. You know, if you just put your head down and grind every day, it's gonna happen for you. And I took advantage of my moment.
You went an interesting direction out of high school that not a lot of players have taken. Instead of maybe like a JUCO or something like that, you went to a prep school in Auburndale, right?
Yes, sir.
What, you know, what was that decision making in going to a prep school as opposed to regular college out of high school?
So coming out of high school, my senior year, you know, I would say I was underrated. I was undersized. I was like maybe 195, 200 pounds coming out of high school. And I only really had like, you know, Division II, Division III offers, but I felt like as a player I was more than that, you know what I'm saying? So I went to this combine called the Orange Bowl Showcase, and from there Advanced Prep Academy came and, you know, talked to me and kind of talked to me there, and then I guess they got my name. Let me backtrack. They got my name. I hadn't talked to them yet. So I had in my mind I was going to a Division III, Division II school maybe. And then they call me and they tell me that, you know, if you come here, you'll have an opportunity to get more looks, and you won't be losing a year eligibility. So that was a big thing for me. I could go do this, see it, you know, see where I am, and not lose a year as opposed to going to JUCO. So that's why I went to prep school. And yeah, the rest is history.
How big was that, you know, essentially free year of eligibility for you?
Oh, it's huge because I didn't start playing high school ball until my junior year of high school. So, you know, I played my junior year, then transferred to Miami Palmetto, and then, you know, did what I had to do there. But it was huge because I feel like I needed to, you know, it was almost like a third year of high school football, if you will, and it put me in a great direction.
Jason, you didn't play high school ball until your junior year.
Yes, sir.
Prep school, only half a sack first 3 years. How rewarding has this season been?
Oh, extremely, extremely. You know, when Coach Shoop's defense came in, I was hopeful. I was very excited because, you know, it was a four down line front, and then it was almost like Coach Strong's defense in a way, because it put me in a position where I'm, you know, dropping back in coverage. I get to rush the pass and all that. I get to be very versatile and free in my assignments. So it's very rewarding, I would say, very rewarding. I'm just gonna, you know, I remain humble and keep going, see how far I can take this thing.
What do you think your strengths are as a player? What skill sets do you bring?
Well, I can get after the quarterback, one, and I would say I bring you know, good energy to the team. I would say I can improve as a leader, but I would say right now I'm in a good position to where guys, you know, they see me play and they see, you know, they see me work in practice, and it motivates them to be better. And, you know, that's all I want to do is just motivate the younger guys and motivate the guys on the team to just, you know, be the best they can be as well.
So what you were mentioning earlier about your individual being patient and it's going to come, do you see that for your team as well? Like, I know your defensive and overall team performance aren't what you wanted, but in terms of moving forward the rest of the season, is that the attitude you have to take?
Yes, sir. I would say so. Guys really buy into the mindset of, you know, just continuing to work. You know, don't just put your head down and keep working. You know, and if you do that, you know, there's only really that option or quitting. And, you know, we're not gonna. Guys on this team aren't gonna quit. One thing about guys on this team, they're gonna do everything they can every day they can, and I appreciate that and I commend that. And I think, yeah, that's the mindset going into the next 5 games.
You guys have already, I'm pretty sure you guys have already surpassed your sack total, if not already surpassed. TFL is getting pretty darn close to it.
Yes, sir.
You know, just talk about the improvement in the room overall and just kind of what you guys have been able to put together. Has it been because of the scheme, or is it just because or is it individual improvement across the board?
Right. I would say it'd be a combination of both. We had older guys come in like Jatorian Hansford, Rashad Cheney, and those guys came in and they were very, vocal, and they were very, they stepped into the leadership role, their grad transfers and stuff like that. So adding them, and then, even Coach Bowers has become, a better coach. Over these years, he's improved as a coach, and I think that's another reason that we've improved as players. And another reason would be that the guys that we have in our room are like, we've gotten a lot closer, and the chemistry is building over the time that we've been here. And I would say it's a combination of all that: the scheme, the guys buying in, guys working, and it's shown results so far, I would say.
How much do you weigh now? How bigger have you gotten during your time at USF? And part B of that question would be, I imagine you're going up against a lot of guys that are bigger than you.
Mm-hmm.
So is it speed and athleticism? You got to rely on that to succeed.
Everything. When I came in, I was 220 pounds, maybe soaking wet, and right now I'm between 245 and 250 pounds, and I've grown a lot from the time that I've been here. And part B was what? I'm sorry.
Just, I imagine a lot of these offensive linemen you're trying to get past are much bigger than you, so is your whole approach, you've got to be faster, more athletic, and kind of take a different angle, that kind of thing?
It depends. In some instances, I do utilize my strength to set the edge and stop the run, like stuff like that. But I can also get out there and go, speed around the corner. That's been my biggest thing. That's how I got, that was a big thing when I got recruited, was getting to the quarterback and getting around. But I've learned and progressed and worked to stop the run as well. So, yes, sir.
Thank you, Jason.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, All-American kick return, Brian Battie, who is now our leading rusher. With about 500 yards and 4 touchdowns on the season. Obviously, last year, 2 100-yard kickoff returns against Houston, tied an NCAA record. Take a question for Brian.
You've had a lot of success on the edge so far this year, obviously with the outside runs. But one area that I was really surprised to see that you've succeeded in is a lot of those center to left guard runs between the tackles. I think you're averaging like 7.5 yards a carry. What do you think equates to that?
The O-line up front, I got to give all thanks to them. They got better pass protection, run blocking, just all around. They're a better group. We took some big injuries, so we lost a few of our starting O-linemen, and the younger guys that are behind them, they stepped up to the plate. All I can really say is all that up, especially up the middle. All that is your O-line, because little guys, running backs general, they're not really breaking a lot of defensive linemen's tackles, so that just means that your O-line is doing their job up front. All I got to do is see it and hit it. So I can really say all that is the improvement from the O-linemen up front and them opening up holes to get up to the linebackers and to the third level.
Would you be surprised if Houston gives you an opportunity to return a kick?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we haven't had as much success as we've been wanting to this year and kickoff return as a unit, but we did do a little bit of damage to them last year. So, I mean, it could go either way. But if they do kick it to us, we're just going to try to execute, do our job, and hopefully we can get some big returns or some touchdowns out of it.
I saw you guys have been switching quite a lot as the place kicker runs to go get the ball. Is that just more to kind of get the ball in your hands as opposed to somebody else's?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes Coach DePrada try to scheme it up to where I can get the ball sometimes and kickoff return. Like certain games, they try to kick it away from me, but sometimes they just try to get it to where I can get the ball in my hands and get the other guy to get out in front and block for me. And other times we let the other guys get their chances back there. But Sometimes we do switch if they're trying to kick it away from me, but I just do what the coaches ask, and we try to get our job done when we do it.
Matt, what was your feeling with learning that Gary is out for the season, and then also your teammates' confidence in Katravis as he gets his opportunity now?
Yeah, I mean, we're all hurt that GB didn't get to finish the season with us. Last game, he was having the best game of the season so far. He's done great for us all year long, and we're just thankful to have him for the games that we did have him. It sucks that we lost him to a season-ending injury. We hope that he recovers quickly and he can be back with us, hopefully spring or next fall. But we got a lot of confidence in Katravis too. He's been sitting there behind GB all year and learning. GB also did a great job of being a great teacher as well and showing him certain ways to play the quarterback position and certain reads he needs to make. He's been training for this whole time, so it's not like he's just been back there not doing anything. So we got a lot of confidence in Katravis, and we think that he'll do a great job back there.
And when you look at him, obviously you see him on the practice field. Some of the passes he throws just take your breath away sometimes. Just
Yeah.
the physical skills and the skill set he could bring when he's on his game.
Yeah, he's a great player. I mean, he got a beautiful arm. He can throw it the whole field if he has to. He got a big arm, great accuracy, and he can read defenses as well. So he got all the attributes you need as a quarterback. For him, it's just all going to be about getting comfortable back there again and getting the reps, which he has been getting in practice. He hasn't got as many game reps, but, once he starts getting more and more snaps, knowing that he's coming into a game, knowing that he's going to be the guy back there, I think that'll help him a lot as well, too, his confidence-wise, and just preparing himself, knowing that he's going to be the guy back there for the games.
Sorry, I just want to follow up on that. Has anything been different about him, just his approach, his mannerisms, how he's carried himself the last week and a half?
I mean, I wouldn't say that because he always carries himself as if he will be playing because you never know what's going to happen. And he's done a great job of that all season long. So I can't really say nothing's really changed about him, but you could tell that now that he knows he's going to be the guy out there, he's a little more locked in during practices. Coach Trickett is kind of coaching him a little harder now because he knows that that's going to be the guy. So I wouldn't say nothing really changed about him because he always carried himself in a professional way when we're out there on the practice field. So, yeah, nothing really changed too much.
About the way the open date fell, it's almost like the split the season in half. I know you can't, make the first 7 games disappear.
Mm-hmm.
You've had some time. Is this like almost like starting over or a second opening game you've got coming up, and you can take these last 5 games as a new start?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really say starting over, but all we can do is just try to finish strong. We still got a chance. If we go win out, we can go to a bowl game, and that's our main focus. That was one of our goals at the beginning of the season, was to make a bowl game. So we just got to treat this like it's our last shot. Every game we got to treat like it's our last shot and go out there and play with a chip on our shoulder. We got a lot of guys that are out, our big-time players that are out, and they're doing a great job of keeping us energized and ready to go. Even though they're not allowed to be out there with us, they're still with us. And it doesn't feel like they're not with us, but we're just going to keep on keeping our head down and keep working and just hope that we can finish out these last 5 games strong and make a bowl game potentially.
You've got a career high in carries, career high in rushing yards, career high in rushing touchdowns. What do you have to do these final 5 games to maintain the intensity to continue pushing those numbers up and up?
I just got to keep doing what's asked of me. I got to keep watching film on the defenses, keep my big guys up front into the game, and give them something to want to work towards. Like whenever they see their running back running down the field, getting big yardage, it helps them keep on wanting to go because they know that they're doing something to contribute to what's going on. And they're the biggest part of our offense, no doubt about it. So The running backs are only going to go as far as the O-line allows them to, and we just want to basically our way of giving our O-line thanks is just getting them yards and sticking up in there if we have to, breaking some tackles if we got to, and basically just seeing it. So not just for me, but for the rest of my running back group, we just got to keep on doing what we're taught and keep on keeping our big boys energized and something to look forward to.